We know what Donald Trump has in mind. More chaos, more division, and policies that help those at the very top and hurt everyone else. I offer a different path, and I ask for your vote.
Harris spoke at the same spot where Republican nominee Trump rallied supporters on January the 6th, 2021. That led, of course, to those chaotic scenes. Let's bring in Bloomberg's Derek Wallbank for how this campaign is unfolding in the last and final days. Derek, what challenges does Harris still face on her campaign?
Well, Tom, look, it's a razor's edge right now, a week out, and you've got 7 key swing states that we've all identified for more than a year that are going to sort of determine who wins here. And across those 7 states, right now, polling averages have every single one of them very, very tight. So it's hard to say right now which way this goes. You can read good things into it if you're the Trump campaign. It looks like their voters are coming out in force in the early votes, particularly in places like Georgia, like Nevada, like Arizona. At the same time, if you're the Harris campaign, you are polling a little bit better in places like Michigan. And additionally, we're seeing a pretty wide gender gap here. And when you say something like a gender gap, you do have to note that women tend to vote a little bit more than men. So the idea that women are voting a little bit more for Harris, men are voting a little bit more for Trump, if that evens out, that's probably good news for Harris. So depending on how you read some of these early tea leaves, you can kind of get a little bit either way, which is all to say it's a little bit too close to call.
Yeah, indeed. So that's the case on Harris and how things are evolving. And certainly that gender story is going to be potentially really consequential, isn't it? When it comes to Trump, campaigning in Pennsylvania, a key swing state, clearly. What is the latest there on his campaign?
Yeah, Tom, I think the key swing state. Look, if you were going to ask me which one state to watch, which one state do I want to know the outcome of, I'm going to tell you it's Pennsylvania, right? It's critical to both of their fortunes. It's hard to see a way for Donald Trump to win if he doesn't win Pennsylvania. It's hard to see a way for Kamala Harris to win if she doesn't win Pennsylvania. Not impossible, but very hard. Most of their paths do include those states. Now, Donald Trump is a little bit on the defensive. He had a rally at Madison Square Garden just recently where several of the comments that were made from the podium by Trump, but particularly by allies of his who were put on stage by his campaign, have come under deep scrutiny. Kamala Harris has particularly made issue of one set of comments about Puerto Rican voters, of whom voters of Puerto Rican heritage are, maybe 500,000 in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's not a small number of people, as well as quite a large population in places like Florida, as well as in New York, where there's a bunch of key House states. So Donald Trump has been on defensive there. At the same point, there were some comments that came out early in the morning, your time, by President Joe Biden, where he appeared to call some of Donald Trump's supporters garbage. There's a debate about whether or not he was speaking about one person or a bunch of people, but that's something that I've seen Republican members of Congress, as well as Trump himself, try and turn to kind of stanch that bleeding a little bit. So right now, I think you would have said the last couple of weeks it had been a little bit more on Donald Trump's terms, this campaign. Right now had been on Harris's terms coming out of the weekend. And certainly that rally that she had at the Ellipse near the White House was one that was very, very well attended, and will be one where she was hoping to set a positive tone and a contrasting tone with Trump going into that final week.